私立三里の丘学園外国語指導助手 ALT のエミリー・ヤンデルさんと前橋町の対談の模様をお送りします。
Today we have Ms. Emily Yandel as our guest. She's an assistant language teacher, ALT, in this city. She has come from the state of Georgia in United States. And this is her third year to teach English to the students in this city. And from this April, she has been teaching at Miさとの丘学園. Nice to meet you, Emily-san.
Nice to meet you too.
First of all, could you tell me about LT's task? What kind of works and activities do you do every day?
Yes. So for me, it varies day to day. It varies depending on what grade we're going to teach. For younger grades, I have a lot of small tasks to do before class, like making flashcards. Or so many flashcards. Or making games. Or just small stuff like that. And then, of course, supporting in the classroom. And then in junior high school, most of it is taken care of beforehand. Sometimes I have to create activities. But again, I support mostly in the classroom. That's where most of my job is.
You're working with an English teacher of Japanese teacher of English.
Yes.
With them. And how about the reactions of your students?
They tend to have a good time in class.
They're enjoying.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I think they like it. They think it's fun. Mostly, sometimes we have days where it's all book work, but I think they enjoy English class.
They enjoy. So you mean that you are teaching English from the third grade of an elementary school to the ninth grade of a junior high school?
Yes. So we technically have classes in first and second grade, but it's very simple classes, mostly just vocabulary and games, because they're so young.
So young. Okay.
And then we have third and fourth grade, we have the activities, and they're fun. There is a textbook, and we use the textbook for listening activities and everything, but it's still mostly just English activities.
Let's enjoy English like that.
And then fifth and sixth grade, it's a little more serious, I guess, like a level up. And then junior high school, the intense English class.
Okay. So I talked up with you about saying that elementary school and junior high school, but in fact, Miさとの丘学園 is an combined school over the junior high school and elementary school. That is a compulsory school. I don't know it's a good name or not, but it means that from the first grade to the ninth grade, it is they have in the same school. You have worked. You had an experience to work for the elementary school of Minamrise and Kitarise and junior high school of Kyohoku.
Yes.
But what do you think the difference between the separated elementary school and junior high school and the compulsory school from the first grade to ninth grade?
I think there's kind of a big difference. Both compulsory schools and the separated schools have their good points. one thing about the compulsory school is we have elementary on the first floor and middle school on the second floor. And it's very convenient.
Convenient, okay.
For example, earlier this year, we had some issues with the 6th grade, and one thing we wanted to do was show them what they will be doing next year. So we sent them in the middle of the day to go watch 9th grade, where the teacher was giving the whole class in English. And we then told them, like, you will be able to do this, but you have to start studying now. And that their attitude changed after that, and it's been very good. It's been good to have the junior high school students as an example for the elementary students right there.
I see. So you mean that the connection between the 6th grade and the 7th grade is very smooth?
Yes, and it's a very easy transition.
Easy transition. Okay. And maybe I have to ask more about the meaning of teaching English from the 1st grade students to the 9th grade students. Of course, we had from the very past days, we had classes of English from the 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. That is, of course, including my case, I had no chance to learn English in the elementary school, but nowadays they can learn English from the 1st grade.
I think it's good. There's from what I studied of linguistics in university, I know there's an age of about 12 or 13 years old that's considered the critical period for language. And if you start learning a language before that point, it's much easier than if you start learning after. So I think it's good that English starts so much earlier now. In elementary school, I think it's good for the development. It makes it easier going forward to learn a foreign language.
I see. So, according to the new course of study, which will be implemented in 2020, before that, I mean that from 2 years advanced in Tsu City, we have started from 2018 to set a subject as a core subject of 5th or 6th grade for English, and a new activity, new English curriculum for the 3rd year and 4th year. That means that students in this city, children in this city, have a chance to start their English very quickly from the early time. That means, but of course, at the same time, I have to say that they have to study English compared with the case who is living in other cities. So that is our decision, of course. But what do you feel about? Do you think about our decision to start English 2 years earlier?
I think it definitely puts the city in a good spot as a head start. And I think it's a good choice. I think keeping it as activities in 3rd and 4th grade is very good because it's easy, there's no pressure. And then 5th and 6th grade, the subject so far, it seems to be a little easier than a junior high school subject. And I think it acts as a really good stepping stone between elementary English and junior high school English. It makes for a much easier time getting into the real English study in junior high school. So I think it's been a good transition so far.
Of course, it's a step-up process from the 4th year and 5th to the 5th year. But do you have the difference between the English activities for the 3rd year and 4th year and 4th grade year, and English subject for the 5th grade and 6th grade?
So the activities I've noticed, they tend to just be more vocabulary or very, very simple phrases such as I like or I want, and it's mostly based in games, and that's a good way to get little kids to learn. And I've noticed that the difference with 5th grade and 6th grade this year is, last year it was the same, it was all games and activities, but now it's more bookwork and more serious study. It requires more studying at home. They have writing practice now, and it's not too much different. There's still activities and games, but there's a more emphasis on academics too. And I think it's slightly different, but different enough.
Happy to say that most of the 5th grade and 6th grade kids, students, they like English in Misato no Oka, but I'm very afraid that some of them, of course it is very small numbers of them, but think that I don't like English, or I don't want to study English. Of course, some of them are thinking so. So, what do you see? How to guide them?
So I think with any subject, like science, math, you'll have people like, I don't like chemistry. You'll always have students who don't like a certain subject. I think that's unavoidable. But I think one way to sort of counteract that feeling is to take the pressure off of being perfect English and put more emphasis on just communicating ideas, communicating feelings, not necessarily perfectly. And because I feel like when a student says something like, I like cat, and then they get marked off for not saying I like cats, it hurts their self-esteem. They think, I can't do this, it's too hard. But if you say like, I like cat, and you respond, oh, me too, I like cats too, it develops more of a positive reinforcement with just speaking and getting out there and learning English. And I think that's one way to counteract it.
I can see your point, and maybe for the students nowadays, they can easily communicate with foreign people in English by being taught that communication is a very simple and natural and very you can enjoy your communication, not studying like in English in a way, but you can communicate with
It's more casual, it's more laid back,
So, of course, I personally, studied English when I was 12 and at first English is to write or to listen to or to understand the grammar and so on. After that, I had to pass the entrance examination for the university when I was 18. After that, I studied English in university, but I think I don't have so many chances to enhance my English for the speaking, in speaking or listening. That is a very big difference between the people of our age and the students nowadays.
Yes, there's a much. I think there's a stronger emphasis now on speaking than there was when I was younger, and I think it's a good change that's happening, especially with how connected the world is now. It's very easy now to speak to someone foreign on the other side of the planet, or to listen to foreign TV shows or radio shows, and so I think it's slowly changing for the better, with an emphasis on communicating and less memorizing.
Okay, so maybe some watching this TV thinks that why our mayor can speak English because he said that he had no chance to learn English as a conversation. But when I was 43 years old, I started to work for the foreign bank in Tokyo, and from that days on, I started to speak English in the very daily life. That made me possible to speak in English. But for the kids or students today, they can learn English to speak or to communicate. That is, I envy them.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Okay, so talking about the 7th or 8th and 9th grade of students, what do you think about the English subject as a subject to teach English for the junior high school students in Japan?
I think it's going well. I like the text. We use I don't remember the name. Horizons.
Horizons.
Yes,
okay.
We use that textbook, and I like that textbook a lot. One thing that I'm not in love with is just the stress of memorizing a certain conversation, like, where is the station? Go straight, turn left, there it is, thank you, you're welcome. That's not going to happen in real life. But the students have to memorize these conversations. And I think one thing that we've started doing more in the 8th grade, actually, is making it more personal, getting the students to express, rather than what the character in the book wants, they express what they want or where they are going or what they want to be when they grow up. And I've seen a big improvement just because they're interested now. It has to do with them, not with the characters. And so I think that's one thing that I personally would change, is just less memorization, more personal attachment. But yeah, overall, I like the curriculum at junior high school.
Maybe that the subject, as a subject of English for the junior high school students, the daily used English is important compared with the case of the very formal sentence.
Yes.
Like maybe at first very famous sentence of "this is a pen." you never use that sentence.
No one says that because we know.
Don't use my pen will be possible to use, but this is a pen.
Yes, and it's that sort of thing that, like, you don't need to memorize "this is a pen." It's a useful phrase, but
useful phrase. Okay. So maybe I'd like you to speak freely about the future of an English education in this country. I mean that for the native speaker, you can understand the difficulties, of course, to learn English to learn other language. I mean, not native native language, but other languages. For instance, you are learning Japanese as a foreign language, but Japanese students are learning English as a foreign language. So you can understand the difficulties or how to overcome that some points.
I think for me personally, it was difficult to learn speaking because I was in America and I never had the opportunity. And I think that's one good thing of ALTs in this country, is they offer the opportunity to speak to a foreign person in a foreign language. And that's a huge plus, I think, because I didn't have that in America. And so the first time I had any practice with Japanese was in Japan, and I couldn't speak. I could understand and I could read and I could write, but I couldn't speak because I didn't know how. So I think that going forward, I'm hoping that Japanese students will be able to communicate more with foreign people, or even take in foreign media like TV shows and movies in English or in the foreign language as a way to improve English ability. I am hopeful though. I am hopeful for the future. I think it can only get better. And I've been impressed so far. So many people I meet are like, I speak English, I studied English in school, and it's great, I think.
Maybe the numbers of overseas tourists are increasing. That is a very good point for the citizens in this city to have an opportunity to use their English.
Yes,
or
definitely.
speak in English.
At Misato, our 6th graders actually recently had a field trip to Kyoto and Nara, where they have to interview tourists in English.
In English,
and
yes,
it went
good point.
It went really well. And it was interesting because the students marked where the people they interviewed were from, and they thought they would get like America, Australia, England, but they were getting like Peru, Mexico, South Africa, and they realized that English is spoken everywhere.
All over the world.
Yes, and it was a good experience for them, I think.
Okay, so finally, you have some comments for the including Misato no丘学園 students, for the students in this city to improve their English, and maybe you can recommend them to enjoy English.
I would recommend doing whatever you can to get your hands on anything English. Play games. If you like games, play games in English. If you like TV, watch TV in English. If you like books, buy a book you like and then buy it in English and read them together and stuff like that. I think it's great practice that people don't necessarily think about when they think studying English. It's good practical practice.
Practical practice, very good point. And in addition to that, I promise that as a mayor, I'd like to cooperate with LTs as much as possible to enjoy, for the students to enjoy the very natural English. Thank you very much, Emily-san, and please do enjoy your days in this city. And if you have a chance to meet with Emily-san at the downtown area or the country area, please speak to her and let's enjoy English. Thank you very much.
Thank you.